What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So I know I said that there wasn't a snowball in hell's chance that Tim Scott would ever get the VP nomination. But I just want to entertain it in this particular video. Just entertain the possibility. Now, how likely do I think it is? Not very likely. But I do want to point out some things that could help him. Because we know he's not going to win the presidential nomination of his party. That's not going to happen. But there's just some things I want to point out. One thing that Tim Scott has proven is that, and these are some things that I know Trump would like, he can raise money. He's very subservient, and he loves to kiss Trump's ass. And Tim Scott knows that Trump likes to have his ass kissed. So, you know, even though he's supposedly running for the Republican nomination, which means that eventually he would have to criticize Trump, he's gone out his way to not do so. Because we all know he really has his sights set on the VP nomination. Now, what would he bring to the table? I mean, he hails from South Carolina, a state that the Republicans are going to carry anyway, and carry by at least a 15 to perhaps 20-point margin. So he doesn't really bring anything. Not geographically, you know, he doesn't bring anything. To be honest with you, the way that our country is now, we're not such a regional country anymore, more of a red and blue country. You know, those days of picking a VP because they might help with a region or a swing state, they're becoming less and less of a reason. More now have to do with demographics. What can Tim Scott help with? Well, obviously he's not going to put much of a dent in the black vote, but there is something I think that he can help with, potentially. I've talked about this over the past 10 years, and the polls and the evidence show this. Now, I was talking about this back in 2011, 2012, that I predicted that there would be a schism in the Democratic Party between black males and black females. I thought that black females would still pretty heavily vote Democratic, but that black men would increasingly start either voting third party, abstaining from voting, or even voting Republican. And we've seen with Trump, at least, that this is the case. Don't get me wrong, overwhelmingly black men still vote Democratic, but not at the numbers they once did. For instance, Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson was reelected in 1964 by a landslide. He got about 90, I think it was something like 96% of the black vote to 4% for Goldwater. Bill Clinton, when he ran for president in the 1990s, he was getting something around 85 to 89% of the black vote. Right? Obama, when he was running for president, I think the first election he got 95% of the black vote. And then 2012, a historic turnout as far as sheer numbers of black voters, but he got 93% of black voters. This is what the difference is, though. This is what's changed. In 2008, Barack Obama got 95% of black male voters. In 2012, he got about 93, 92% of black male voters. But in 2016, Hillary only got about 87% of black male voters. And in 2020, Biden got something around 83, 84% of black male voters. So each election, it's a smaller percentage. Still overwhelmingly, but it's chipping away. The Trump campaign admitted back in 2020 that they noticed that. Steve Bannon, at the time, admitted that that would probably be a group of voters that the Trump campaign, in the event that he ran in 2024, would try to cater to. So, would Trump nominate Tim Scott or pick Tim Scott for the Republican vice presidential nomination? I don't know. I really don't know. I do know this. They've already picked a woman. So that barrier has always been broken. In 2008, of course, McCain picked Sarah Palin. I get the feeling that in 2024, Trump is not going to pick a white male as his running mate. It's either going to be a woman or perhaps a minority. Because there's certain realities in this country that are growing. The minority population is growing with each election cycle. Republicans can't keep always trying to ignore that fact. Now, me personally, I think it's a greater chance that he picks someone like Carrie Lake. She's popular with the base. She hails from Arizona, which is a swing state. Trump only lost that state by like 11,000 votes, if I'm not mistaken, back in 2020. 11 or 12,000 votes. So that would make sense. She's a little bit far out there, but not as far out there as Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I think would be toxic if he nominated her for vice president. There's also the possibility of Tulsi Gabbard, former Democrat, independent. She's not bad looking. Maybe she could pull in some independent voters, some disaffected Democrats. That's an angle. But with Tim Scott, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's likely, but I just did it anyway. I just thought it was a possibility. I mean, hell, the election is still an eternity away, and we don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? I do know this. According to the grapevine, if Ron DeSantis, who just announced his candidacy today, if he were to get the nomination, according to sources, he would want to nominate Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who's a woman. So I do think that this time the GOP is going to pick someone who's not a white male for VP. So I just put that out there. Tell me what you guys think.